Hello, everyone. This is Safia Malik, and I'm here today to present to you my lesson plan on uh, my focused learner, which was based on the IRI administration and its results. So I will share. um, Here. So I would start with the name of the lesson itself, which would tell you what exactly my lesson was based upon. So since the student that I had chosen as my focused learner was basically struggling with her word recognition, although she had very good comprehension skills and listening capacity as well, she did very well on that when I read the story to her. But she was struggling with, decoding strategies to read new words, to identify sight words, and kind of pronounce and uh, say the sound of words that had, tricky letters like the silent E sound or suffixes or, was like a compound word. She even struggled with sight words. So I kind of decided that I'm going to work with a group of small children in which my focus learner would also be supported for her word recognition. So I called my lesson From Sounds to Sight, Kindergarten Word Readers. So my students were kindergarten general ed class. For my rationale, as you can see over here, that is a lot of evidence-based practices have been, laid down in our courses, in the books that we have been reading, and the research that we have done. So all of them, including Erickson, says that phonological awareness, which refers to awareness of three aspects of spoken and written language: words, syllables within those words, and the sounds of the phonemes within the syllables of the words. So these three things are very important to a child to master before they become fluent readers at this early emergent reader stage. So that is basically the rationale behind my lesson plan. The second most important thing were the goals. So by the end of the lesson, I would be expecting my students to have been able to identify and generate rhyme words, high frequency words like the sight words, segment, breakdown, and blend sounds in the CVC words, in the poems, through a poetry, and by reading the poem as a whole class, and then also through a movement break song, which would help them practice their sight words. Then they also did a very creative activity in which they created new words by manipulating the phonemes in a CVC word. For example, the word mug, they would remove one of the vowels or one of the consonants and replace them to make a new sound. So, like if M was removed and you place T, it would become tug. So, mug would become tug. So, that was one way to do it. And then, last and not least, of course, we did a little reading practice, which was like differentiated because my children would read at their own levels. So, the third thing was the teacher presentation, the I do, we do, and you do. So, for the I do, we reviewed decoding strategies for reading. And then we also, I displayed the poem May, and the children used a graphic organizer to list the CVC words, the rhyming words, and the sight words in the graphic organizer. In the we do part, we did the Jack Hartman sight words, where children dance to this Jack Hartman, and then And the next part of the guided practice, or the we do part, was the CVC Nearpod activity. And the third, in the you do, we did the differentiated reading, as I mentioned before, followed by quizzes. So I would like to take you to the different parts. Here is the graphic organizer that they would use in the beginning of the lesson when we are doing the poem about May. And they would pick the sight words. I'd bring them to the smartboard and they would write, identify the sight words, and we would be writing them down here. The rhyming words would be written with green, would be highlighted with green, and I would put them here, and then the CVC words. So this is how we did the beginning. This was the May poem that we had used for this purpose. It's like the May is the month of sunshine and flowers. And then you had rhyming words like flowers and showers, fly and sky, and way and May. So these are like, and then of course they had sight words like is and the and all of those that they had to identify. This was the Jack Hartman song. It goes something like this.
Jack Cartman! Kids Music Channel!
Sight words, I know them in my mind. Sight words, I can read them left to right. Sight words, there are so many I know. Sight words, they help my reading flow. Look, listen, and say the sight words. A, N, and.
A, N,
B. We. I, S, is.
So this was really interesting. I think the children really love Jack Hartman and they love to be singing with him, and it becomes kind of like, a rhyme, a chime that they keep doing throughout the day as well. They keep practicing. So that's one thing they enjoy. So I had also mentioned that we did a whole class activity for the Nearpod. So this was like something I would like to show you. For example, if we preview over here, so this is Nearpod. And here we did the CVC words like this. So it's like a multiple choice answer. Hold on a second. Yeah. So like, which word matches with the picture? So is it tag or is it tag? Then they had something like, which word matches the picture, mop or map? It's like, here, look at the picture, say the word, write the letters you hear on the lines. So they would say it here. They could actually use a crayon, a highlighter to write the words over here, right? Like a bag. Let's say it's a bag. So they would write B A G. So that was one. So this is like the kind of activity they would do. And so we're going back to my library. So there was this one over here, like as I said, you can you change the word below to match the picture? You would change one of the letters and write it over here. If you see the picture, the child is standing in mud. So they would change the J and write mm, uh, g. Oh, sorry. I meant mug. Yes, it would be mud. So that's how they would do it. So there's like this, there are similar ones that they keep doing for practice. So that is one thing that they did as the we do as I mentioned over here, the CVC Newport activities. And now for the differentiated activities, we had one level of the students who were on grade level. They were doing this activity in Nearpod where they were doing answering these questions. It's like a little quiz. So the CVC we did as a whole class, and now this was independent. So the independent practice was differentiated into three levels: the above average, the on grade level or the average, and then we had the focus group or the small group, which needed my support and they worked with me separately. So the on grade level did this kind of work over here. They did this activity that I was just showing you, like circle a picture that matches the sentence, "The cat is on the rug." So they would read the sentence, and those who did understand it, they could just circle the right answer. So this was quite interesting. I can see the little snake. So if they were able to pronounce egg, yeah, so that's what they would be doing. So that was quite one interesting, fun thing that they could do to learn that. And next for the differentiated task, we had the above average would be doing this assessment over here. This one, I'm going to preview for you. So this one would be like, they would go through all of this, do all the quizzes, and if as an extension for them, I had a story for them to read over here called Surprising Spring. And this was an extension task, which they would read till the end, and they would be answering a quiz at the end. So, you finish and then you take a quiz over here. So, this was for the above average. You play the quiz over here. They're like this. This is a quiz for them. So they will be answering some comprehension questions on this. Now, for the for the on grade level, I had showed you. Now for my support learners. For my support learners, I had this really fun support activities before we started our independent practice. So what they did was, first of all, we worked with the Alkanen boxes. I don't know if I have them over here. I have them in my presentation. So over here, I will show you. Sorry about that. Here. So these are the resources that I used for them, the reading, the small group. Over here, there was the Alkanen where they would, whatever sound they hear, they place a colored button on the sheet for that. So like when I say sh, e, p, so they would be breaking down the sound and then segmenting it. So it would be sh, e, p, sheep. So we're using the decoding method that we had learned over here. Similarly, I also had for them these reading strategies. You look at the picture, sound it out, look for small words or chunks, make the first sound, skip the word, then reread, and then flip the vowel. So these were a few things that really helped them. The anchor chart for the support learners, including my focus learner. Then the second thing was the treasure hunt, which I would like to show you more clearly over here. So this was like I had cut out these and put them in sand, and the children would, dig out one by one. As they would dig it out, read it, read the sight word, and then place it on this sheet over here, in the treasure box, and write the word that they found over here. So this was a practice of the sight words. So now they'd practice their sight words, and the the phonemes that they had done through the Elkonian boxes. So now they move on to the next part, which is this story for them that I picked, which is a bit easier to read. And the best part about it is that it reads to the student. So, you can ask it to read to me. So if I was able to show you over here, it is actually able to look, it does read to them. So anyhow, there is an option over here that they can read. Here, it says read to me. So when they start playing it, it will actually read to them. So this is how it was extra support was provided through the small group, and my focused learner had also really benefited from that. And the above average had an extension task to do, and that was really, I think they really enjoyed the reading session. So after that, I would like to discuss the tools for the assessment. So over here, of course, we had the success criteria. Like over here, I have put it out for you. The success criteria for the self-assessment that was done right at the beginning and also at the end of the lesson to wrap it up. So, they were told what was expected of them, and the objectives were broken down for them so they would be able to understand what exactly the teacher is expecting for them. Like here, you can see I will be successful if I can read my story sentences and score 7 to 8 correct answers on the reading quiz. I'm working towards being successful, the sideways thumb, and I need more practice if I can score less than 5 on my reading quiz. So this is kind of, tells them what is the mastery level and what is expected of them. So that was one criteria of assessment. And of course, then we had all these assessments as a whole class. Then, we had the Nearpod activity for changing the CVC words. Excuse me. And then we had the books with the quizzes at the end for all the three groups that I had, the above average, the average student, and also my focused learner. So these were things that, Nearpod provides, and Nearpod has a very clear, progress monitoring system, which is inbuilt, and, you can use that data to inform you about where the children need help or what are their strengths and which areas they need to work upon. Same goes for EPIC. EPIC also is level reading, and once a child has completed successfully, you can see the results at the end for each child that has signed into the account. So all of this was attached to the Google Classroom, and we were able to very clearly, depict all of this. So these were some of the activities that we did. So there was a graphic organizer as well. So that was also another way to assess how much the children had remembered about what are sight words, CVC words, rhyming words. That was in the beginning. So these were a few of the assessments, formal and informal, that I had. Basically, all of them were formative and they were informal at this stage because children are still emergent readers. So they all were reading at their own levels. So having said that, I would like to talk about the resources. We did mention all the resources over there. So we had anchor charts. Again, going back over here, I can show you. So basically, there was the poem, which was one of the biggest resources. We had the graphic organizer for the brainstorming in the beginning in circle time. And of course, I forgot to mention that in circle time, they did have pair share activity, which was also kind of an assessment of, how they were going to discuss with each other which words are rhyming, which words are, sight words, and which words are CVC words, and how they can tell that. Then, of course, the video resource. Then we had all Nearpod, and we had Epic as a resource. Other than that, we had, a pointy that I was using to teach them the poem. There were the anchor charts for decoding the strategies. And then, for my small group over here, I also had this additional game to play, which is the word hunt. And then these were some of the resources, the links to the resources, to the books, to next generation standards. I've also given a link, the Nearpod lessons, and then, we had reinforcement at home that I wanted to send them over here. So that was also included to be sent to the parents through Class Dojo. So we've used Class Dojo as well. Um, so I have, okay, so I have my library here. Okay, so sorry about that. So over here, we talked about the resources, and then finally, I would like to just mention quickly how I would be using the follow-up over here. So, since we were almost towards the end of the year, I informed them that you guys are going to be making memory books. So this was kind of like a follow-up of the lesson. We'll be talking about writing sentences now about different pictures that we had taken during the class during the year, and they would be making their own memory books, talking about special days and writing about them too. So decoding skill strategies will help them write about their memories. And then finally, I will also assign, and it's on a regular basis. We usually send in, twice a week, or we try to send in, like at least on weekends, we try to send in some reading for the parents to be involved with the students' reading for a parent collaboration. They write their family journals, which look something like this. So the teachers that who were my mentors, they would use something like this, the starting page, the title of the book, the length of the time they read, and it was like a whole thing that they did with the collaboration of the parents. So yes, that was it. And as a result of this lesson, I think that Harim was really able to improve her decoding skills and her strategies for reading, and hopefully upward and onward for her and all the other students as well. And uh, this was a great experience of learning how to administer an actual IRI. And thank you so much for listening. So I will hear from you soon. Thank you so much.